The first thing you've got to do is obviously break up the fight to stop anyone getting hurt. But then after that, I'd take the audience away. I think that would be the first thing, or take the people that were involved away from the audience.
Yeah.
So that it just calmed the situation down.
I have to say, before now, I have actually gone and physically stood in between two children, and generally, as soon as you're there, you will have an impact on what they're doing. I think the onlookers, more than anything else, are sort of unsure whether they should stay or not, and they do start drifting off as soon as you even go over there. So I think your immediate presence needs to be right, sort of central to everything else. If there's a crowd, you need to get straight through and straight to where the problem is before you can actually have an impact.
I think if I saw a fight going on in the playground, as well as going over to try and sort of break it up yourself or calm the situation down, I think it's better to say you'd get one of the children, maybe somebody close by, to go and get somebody else. Because as a teacher, if you try and break a fight up, you touched a child, and they didn't want you to, you could get yourself into all sort of trouble. If you have somebody else with you, or somebody who is restraint trained, just somebody there to back you up or to help you out and diffuse the situation so that it's not your word against the children.
In the school I was at, obviously the whole school must have known the behaviour policy, because when the fight started, I was like, they're fighting. She goes, and the teacher said, don't run over. She just walked over there calmly through the crowd, and she was like, right, go stand by the wall. And obviously they knew that was it, and they went and stood at separate sides of the wall, and then she dealt with the crowd and said, look, that's not fair, you don't need to be doing this, and just gave them a little turn off and said, right, go and do your own thing. And then she went to the two boys and said, right, when you're willing, then they went over and shook hands, and they just went back playing. So instead of making a big deal about the fight, it was just kept quite as if it wasn't such a big deal.
That's good, because I suppose your first instinct would be to go over there and be like, what's going on, break it up. And your voice raised, like with them fighting, the crowd all round, it can just perhaps escalate it and get the two involved more worked.
Yeah, because I'd be trying to say, well, he did this and she did that and he did that, whereas just saying, right, you know what to do.
Yeah, she didn't even say, I don't want to know what happened. It was just, when you've calmed down, shake hands and you can go back and play. So she didn't even want to hear what happened, really. It was just
that is good, but you just need to make sure that it's monitored and it's not sort of...
Yeah, and there isn't something really major underlying that, because there could have been a genuine reason why they were fighting.
If it was my class, one of the things I would kind of flag up is in PHSE, or probably straight after lunch, we need to go over fighting. We need to go over that discussion of each other's feelings, because obviously the reason they're fighting is because they're not communicating how they feel, which children can find quite difficult. And the same lecture that we were discussing before, where the children were assessing their own levels of being able to communicate well, they had a script for the playground, and if they ever needed to use it, they'd go into the classroom and go, Miss, can I borrow the script? And the script would be, you've hurt my feelings and I'm very upset because, and then they'd say why. So it became such a routine of them talking about why they're upset, why they're angry.
Sort of what you could do to make me happier, or what you could have done not to hurt my feelings, or something like that, wasn't there?
And then they ended up not having to use the script. They were so kind of, it was already built in that they could just say, look, you've made me upset, because you've done this, and then they could go, okay, well, I didn't mean to. Because one of the main reasons children fight is just misunderstanding of kind of what people are talking to. Play fighting starts into real fighting from one child gets upset. So I think it's important that it's not ignored and just dealt with the two people that are having the fight. Like Andrew was saying earlier about dealing with it, like maybe in a whole school assembly, or after, during registration when everyone comes back in. My teacher at the moment has been very good, so every other day a child will come back in and somebody's crying for some reason, and it might be because
their hamster's died, or you know, they've got tummy ache or something like that. But if it is an issue that's occurred in the playground, the teacher will always start with, how did that make you feel? Why? Tell me why you're crying, and let's see, you know, hands up, can anybody say something?